Chiefs Kingdom, Gary McKenzie, back at you again for another episode of Gridiron Lines. And it is with a heavy heart that I must announce that the Chiefs lost their game versus the Las Vegas Raiders in entirely humiliating fashion. Perhaps one of the most frustrating games I've seen as a Chiefs fan in a while. And really, I almost felt like I was having a bad dream the way the game worked. Those two defensive scores by the Raiders happened so fast that I felt like wasn't even awake yet. It was insane. So I'm not going to make any friends with this video. That's not my plan here. But I'm going to try to pinpoint one person who I feel there should be some blame thrown their way for what's been going on with the Chiefs offense so far in 2023. Once again, this is RGR Football, Gridiron Lines. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't done so already, and then also subscribe if you haven't done that yet either. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I wanted to take a deeper look at offensive coordinator Matt Nagy and just kind of look over his resume and see if he has a history of these problems that the Chiefs offense are having this year. So as you know, Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs in 2017. That was the year that Alex Smith went crazy. He had 4,000 yards passing that year, threw for a whole bunch of touchdowns. Chiefs offense looked electric. They were number 6 in points scored that year, number 5 in total yards. They had the best turnover numbers in the NFL for the offense, and their offensive SRS score was number 6. So they were top 10 in every metric in 2017 with Alex Smith as their starting quarterback. So that's pretty impressive what they were able to do that season with Alex Smith. Now, because of that year, Matt Nagy got an opportunity to coach a team in the NFL, and that team happened to be the Chicago Bears. Before Matt Nagy got to Chicago, they had Mitch Trubisky as their starting quarterback, and that year in 2017, the Bears' offense was terrible. I mean, it wasn't very good at all. They were 29 in points scored and number 30 in total yards. They were 14th in number of turnovers the offense gave up. And then they were number 29 in offensive SRS score. So Matt Nagy goes from Kansas City in 2017 after this great year with the Chiefs offense. A lot of people are high on Matt Nagy. Goes to the Bears in 2018 and really flips that offense around. So in 2017, they were number 29 in points scored. In 2018, Matt Nagy's first year coaching that team, they were number 9 in points scored. So they had a huge jump in their scoring. They were number 21 in yards gained. So that's 9 places higher than they finished in 2017. They had a lot of turnovers, though. They were number 22 in the NFL in terms of taking care of the ball. And their offensive SRS score was pretty dang good. So it was number 12. That year, they also had Mitch Trubisky in 2018. 2019, things took a turn for the worse, still with Mitch Trubisky, and the Bears finished nearly dead last in offense in terms of points scored and yards gained. Then 2020 came around. They used Trubisky and Foles almost 50-50 that season because Trubisky was having issues. And, once again, the Bears' offense did not perform very well. They were number 22 in points scored, number 26 in yards gained, number 20 in taking care of the ball, and number 23 in terms of their offensive SRS score. 2021 comes around, same old for the Bears offense. This time, though, they had Justin Fields starting at quarterback, very talented, highly touted player coming out of the draft. But the Bears still finished number 27 in points scored, number 24 in yards gained. They had the third to worst turnover numbers in the NFL in terms of taking care of the ball on the offensive side. And they were number 28 in terms of their offensive SRS score. Then in 2022, Matt Nagy's last season as head coach of the Bears, Fields was the quarterback again. They were number 23 in points scored, number 28 in yards gained, number 27 in terms of taking care of the ball, and number 22 in terms of their offensive SRS score. So on average, whenever Matt Nagy was the head coach of the Chicago Bears over the course of 6 seasons, so it's not like he had just a couple years to get it together. This is 6 years. This is a large body of work for an NFL head coach in today's NFL with the way how quickly coaches get fired, how quickly teams move on and go to the next guy. He had 6 seasons. In those 6 seasons, the Bears averaged a ranking of number 22 in terms of points scored. Number 26, they were 26th in the NFL in yards gained. They were number 22 in the turnover numbers for the offense, and number 23 on average in terms of the offensive SRS score. So Matt Nagy, as a head coach, didn't do the job in terms of trying to put a spark on the offensive side of the ball. His production as an offensive mind in that Bears offense never amounted to much of anything. So then he gets fired, and the Bears so far this season haven't seen a major uptick from what Nagy was able to do with the Bears. Right now, currently, the 2023 Chicago Bears, once again with Justin Fields at quarterback, they're number 21 in points for, number 20 in yards, number 26 in turnovers on offense, and number 23 in terms of offensive SRS score. So Matt Nagy leaves the Bears, and the Bears don't see a major uptick in terms of their offensive production. Moving on to the Chiefs. So Matt Nagy gets fired, and he's brought on as kind of a quarterback assistant coach, assistant offensive coordinator alongside Eric Bieniemy in 2022. And so far, Andy Reid's offenses with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, they average a number 3 ranking. So they're the third best scoring offense on average. Those 6 years where, those 5 years where it was just Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. So on average, they were number 3 in terms of points scored. On average, they were number 2 in terms of yards gained during the Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid era. They were number 11. They ranked 11th in terms of turnovers on offense on average through those 5 seasons. And then their offensive SRS score on average over those 5 seasons, their ranking averaged out to be number 3. Turn to 2023, Matt Nagy takes over for the Chiefs offensive coordinator role, and the Chiefs are currently number 11 in points for, number 9 in terms of yards gained, number 27 in terms of taking care of the ball on the offensive side, not turning it over, number 18 in terms of their SRS score. So with Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, they've dropped 15 spots as of last week's debacle they've dropped 15 spots from where their average was with Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. And you might ask yourself, okay, well, the Chiefs defense has made a lot of strides. They've gotten a lot better on that side of the ball. But from a positional standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, the Chiefs offense has not really changed that much between 2022 and 2023. In 2022, they were number 1 in the NFL in terms of points for. They were number 1 in terms of yards gained. They didn't do a great job taking care of the ball. They were number 17, but they were number 2 in their offensive SRS score. And Matt Nagy comes along, and these numbers just drop. And the only really differences personnel-wise for this team is that they lost Andrew Wiley. Andrew Wiley was replaced by Jawan Taylor. And a lot of people would say on paper that Jawan Taylor is a better right tackle than Andrew Wiley. Next, you have Orlando Brown Jr. He left. He was replaced by Donovan Smith. Once again, a lot of good talent evaluators would say that Orlando Brown Jr. is not that much better than Donovan Smith. There's not a wide gap there. And then lastly, the Chiefs lost Juju Smith-Schuster, who was a good piece for them on the offensive side of the ball, but he was replaced by Rashee Rice. And once again, kind of looking at where Rashee Rice is this year compared to where Juju Smith-Schuster was last year, and there's really not that big of a difference between those two players. And I think one of the final things, maybe more importantly, is that it does seem as though Travis Kelce has taken a slight step backwards in terms of his production, and that's to be expected. He's getting older. But even then, his level of performance is not so far off that it would cause as big of a change in the Chiefs' offensive production. So this is the question I want to ask Chiefs Kingdom. And it's going to be a hard question to face. But it goes as such. Matt Nagy did not get the job done on the offensive side of the ball for the Chicago Bears other than one of his 6 seasons as a head coach. He comes to Kansas City, takes over the offensive coordinator position, and this year the offense has looked worse than it ever has in the Patrick Mahomes era. Some of the Chiefs players are even vocalizing on the sideline about how terrible the play calls are. If you don't believe me, do a Google search, look it up, search for quotes on the Chiefs complaining about play calling, and you're going to find it there. Now, granted, Andy Reid always has his hand in the play calling basket, but you have to wonder how much of this is Matt Nagy, how much of it is Andy Reid. We're never going to know. We always think that Andy Reid has the final say, but Matt Nagy is also contributing. And looking at Nagy's body of work over the course of his career as a head coach and now an offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, I think the question you have to ask yourself is, does he deserve a spot on the hot seat? Should he be in a position where it's considered that the Chiefs move on from him after the 2023 season, or perhaps demote him and promote somebody else? And this is a real question that I want the Chiefs to ask. Now, unfortunately, I think that Andy Reid is faithful, is loyal to a fault to his personnel, and I can't see the Chiefs, getting rid of Matt Nagy after this year unless something is said by some of the Chiefs players to kind of rebel against this current offensive setup that they have, this huge drop that they've seen between 2022 and 2023. And so this is the question I'm throwing out there. Does Matt Nagy deserve to be on the hot seat? I want you to tell me in the comments what you think about that. Do you think Matt Nagy should get fired after this season? Do you think he should be on the hot seat? Do you think it should be a question? Or do you think that he deserves more time? Things move fast in the NFL. There is something to be said for teams that stand by their guy and give them a chance, and maybe one season isn't enough. But I just showed you 6 seasons as a head coach and now 1 season as an offensive coordinator. He hasn't had a good performance on the offensive side of the ball as either an offensive coordinator or a head coach since 2018, his first year with the Chicago Bears. 2017 was a great year as an offensive coordinator for him. 2018 was a great year for him offensively for the Chicago Bears. I mean, he did magic with Mitch Trubisky that year to get the Bears to a top 10 offense. But he hasn't performed that way in 5 years. So you have to ask yourself, what moves do the Chiefs need to make? And is he a candidate to get fired? I remember I was watching a game, I think it was a week 7 game or week 8 game, maybe week 9 or 10, I can't remember. But I was sitting next to my dad. I usually watch the games with my dad, and he told me after one of the games, and it was kind of like he had an epiphany, but he said, I think I want to fire the offensive coordinator of a team that's 7-2. And we both kind of looked at each other and were like, whoa, that's a wild thing to say, but now they're not 7-2 anymore. Now they're 9-6. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games, and their offenses look terrible. And that begs the question, who are the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs? And we're far enough in the season. I've talked over and over again about how the wide receivers need to step up, but this is who the Chiefs are. They're an incredible defensive team. They're number 2 defensively in terms of points allowed, and number 2 defensively in terms of yards allowed. That's really good. The offense, on the other hand, is mediocre. And they're terrible at taking care of the ball. They're number 27 in terms of turning the ball over on offense. So they have got to stop turning the ball over. We saw what happened last week versus Raiders. Those 2 turnovers gave the Raiders 14 points, and the Chiefs couldn't overcome it. If the Chiefs just run the ball in those possessions, take care of the ball, and punt it, I'm not so sure the Raiders even score more than 6 points in that game. But the Chiefs ended up turning the ball over, not taking care of the ball, not paying attention to the details, and It got them where they were versus the Raiders. So this is also a problem that Matt Nagy has consistently had because his offenses with the Bears their average rank was number 22 in terms of taking care of the ball on offense. This is a problem that he's had every year he's been a head coach, and now with the Chiefs as offensive coordinator, this is another problem. Another problem for the Chiefs offense is that Mahomes has been all over the place in terms of how he's been playing. And, we've talked a lot about Josh Allen, choking and causing his team to lose games. And I think that's true about Josh Allen, but you haven't heard the same things about Patrick Mahomes. And the reason you haven't heard those things is because he has the history to back it up where you're like, okay, well, he's going to turn it on eventually. And he has the resume where we're really going to give him enough respect not to say these things about him. But in wins, Patrick Mahomes has a 105.7 rating. He's thrown for 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in the Chiefs' 9 wins. In his losses, he has an average of a 72.6 rating. That's terrible. That's like Matt Castle bad. And then he's thrown 7 touchdowns to 7 interceptions in those losses. So Mahomes can't be going out and having these up and down games. The offensive coordinators and the offensive game plan can't be hit and miss like this. They've all got to come together as a team. And Travis Kelce said it really well during the New Heights podcast. He was frustrated. I mean, he was legitimately angry, and understandably so. I don't think many people want to win more than Travis Kelce. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is that one guy, but he says it's a team effort from the top down. Offensively, the team has just been terrible, and I think at this point in the year, the Chiefs are who they are. This is a great defensive team. This is a team that is sloppy on the offensive side of the ball, doesn't know how to take care of the ball, refuses to simplify things and do common things that you would think an NFL offense with a great defense would try to do, which is play ball control. And that's not who the Chiefs have been any year with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has never had a great defense. So this is something he's not accustomed to, and it's not really the way that Patrick Mahomes was built to play the game. But that's where the Chiefs are. And until he can learn how to play that style, take care of the ball, rely on the defense, and, get the opportunities when he has them, I think these problems are going to continue. Right now, the Chiefs have to play the Bengals this weekend, and even though the Bengals have a backup quarterback, I have very little confidence that this team can win this game. I think right now it's a coin flip, and it's because, they've lost these several games out of their last 6 games that they've played, losing 4 of the last 6. It's just things are not looking good for the Chiefs right now. Things are not looking good for Matt Nagy. And right now the Chiefs, I think, last week I said the most likely outcome would be that they would get the number 2 seed. Right now the most likely outcome is that they would get the number 3 seed. And that makes things interesting because they're likely to play either the Browns or the Bills in that first playoff game in Arrowhead. And you better hope that the Chiefs offense brings their A game and Mahomes plays a good game instead of having, this up and down performance that he's had all throughout the year. So I hate to be a downer in this video and, not give much of a silver lining, but right now the only silver lining I can offer is that the problem to fix this Chiefs offense and this Chiefs team is pretty simple. And that is to stop turning the ball over. And that comes from a focused approach of how you're going to run the offense, changing your mindset, maybe dialing it back a bit, and going from there. But that's really the silver lining I can take away from where the Chiefs are, other than the fact that they're 9-6. They will make the playoffs. We're spoiled as Chiefs fans, but things have got to improve on the offensive side of the ball if they don't want to exit the playoffs early. They got 2 games left to get it right. We'll see what happens. You never know with an Andy Reid team. And, of course, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. So I think that gives them a really good shot, to maybe surprise some folks. But so far, it seems like it's Baltimore's year in the AFC and not so much Kansas City's. But that's all I've got in this video. Sorry I wasn't, my usual positive self, but I just call it like I see it. And I'm really hoping these next 2 games the Chiefs can improve, but we'll just see what happens. With that, this is Gary signing out. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Let me know what you think in the comments about Matt Nagy and if this Chiefs can fix their problems with turning the ball over. But that's it. This is Gary signing out. Take care.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.